not only are you designing Blobb, but you're teaching here at South Essex College as well.
Correct.
How do you prioritise between the two?
Teaching comes first because that's my main source of income. But mostly, when I get home, whenever I have free time, I do some work on my own games. It can be tricky. It basically means I don't get any free time to socialise or do any other fun stuff. I'm just working all the time. But yeah, lots of sleepless nights.
So can you briefly describe what the player has to do in Blobb?
Okay, so the whole point of Blobb is for you to get this little life-form creature to the little golden star in the level. And the way you do that is by swiping either left, right, up or down. And once you start moving, you won't stop moving until you hit something that will stop you. Okay. So you slip and slide and you won't stop until you go. All the while you've got traps and obstacles to avoid. So you have to use your bit of exploration, a bit of experimentation, patience and a bit of intelligence to make your way through the puzzles.
So you need like really good reflexes as well for this.
That would help, yeah.
Sliding.
Yeah, it helps, yeah.
Okay. In our last interview you said that you enjoyed, the kookier games.
Yeah.
Are these like style of games such as, Viva Pinata you mentioned last time? Are these the type of games that inspired you to make Blobb?
Partly. I mean, ultimately, I just wanted to do something with a simple gameplay hook. And one thing that inspired me the more than anything was the old Pokemon games. They used to have almost every installment of Pokemon has this sort of section where it is where you get a room like ice and you have to slide along the ice to get to the exit of the cave. And they're the things that really inspired me, mainly for Blobb. But the things were the biggest inspirations were a lot of mobile hits, taking inspiration from the ones that have been successful on mobile phones, such as like Angry Birds, Cut the Rope, and things like that. But I definitely like the more cartoony, light-hearted, sort of comedic sort of games rather than the serious type. They're a lot more fun to make, a lot less dreary.
Yeah, more colourful. Yeah. So are you creating the game all by yourself?
Yes, everything is done by me. I do everything from the planning to the marketing to the art, programming. I'm even the voice of Blobb. I've done the voiceover and special effects. Yeah, I've done the voice work for him. Okay. It's not much voice work, but I've still done it.
Okay. Cool. It's just like me doing camera and don't even.
Yeah.
Is that the hardest aspect of development? Do you prefer having all that creative freedom?
Yes and no. I mean, it's handy to have the ultimate knowledge of where everything goes and how it all fits together without having to ask lots of questions or write loads of documents for every single person on a team. So it does give me that sort of freedom and possibly makes the job a little bit quicker. But where obviously the job would be made quicker is if I had a dedicated artist to help me with some of the artwork. So that definitely is one of the things that's taken the most time. So there are aspects where I wish I did have some help, but ultimately it comes down to in the end it is arguably a lot quicker for me to get going, especially as I'm doing it in my own time, and asking someone else to sacrifice their own time as well to help me out is tricky. Yeah,
it's hard to get people on board. What phase is the game currently in now?
So it literally just entered last night into sort of closed beta where I've got a couple of people testing Android versions to make sure that the game's working fine on various Android devices. Probably tonight or tomorrow we're looking at getting it into more of an open one where it'll be open to particularly my game students. They'll be able to test it as well and provide feedback. Get them used to what we expect from beta tests rather than just playing the game. We want to get some feedback as well. And then if that all goes smoothly, we're looking at releasing in the next couple of weeks.
You said you will do the voice work as well. Do you create the music as well? How does that work?
No, the music is one skill I don't have, so I pay for the royalty-free license for the music and sound effects.
Oh, okay.
Some of the sound effects anyway. Some of them I've made myself, yeah.
Because I always found music to be the most engaging aspect of the game.
Yeah.
It's funny how it works because it seems so trivial.
Yeah, for Blobb especially, it took me a long time just to settle on a sort of musical identity for the game. Again, I wanted this kooky, sort of cartoony sort of atmosphere, but in the levels, I wanted to feel like he was almost dancing, as if he slipped and slides around the place almost gracefully.
Oh,
so the music fades into a waltz type sort of tone. Here I've got a mischief file, a canvas, which is just basically a collection of doodlings that I have to help me design a character, and other things. So if I go into here, so you can see the original design of Blobb. This design is slightly different from the final, as he doesn't have arms in the final version.
Oh really? Okay.
It is largely the same. You can see I'm trying out different eye styles. So when I go through and want to make, like, say, comic strips of him or advertising material of him, I can make him sad, more curious, playing up to the cute factors, almost like puppy eyes. And got some colour definition going on over here to get used to and find out what's going on with him.
It's interesting you're doing a comic strip to advertise the game as well.
Yeah, I wanted it to be so I can put him anywhere and build that character up as being a really fun character to have a look at and see. So when you see him, you just feel like, oh, he's cute. That you want to see more of him.
Is Blobb a game where you can play for 5 minutes on the bus, or is it a game you spend hours playing, like, to get the high score?
It's a bit of both, because each level only takes a few seconds to complete if you can figure out how to do it quick enough. But some of the more difficult levels can rack your brain quite well or test your patience. But if you do get really stuck, you can just skip it and go on to another level, or go back and redo another level to get all the stars.
Yeah.
So even that completionist aspect, you can even go back and play and try and get all the stars, and that won't take too long at all.
What advice do you have for people who are going to play the game?
Patience. I've seen a lot of people playing it. When you start the game, you have no traps to worry about, but as soon as traps start to be introduced, timing becomes quite a key, integral part to the game. So patience is a beauty of the game. You don't get penalised for how long you take, but you do get penalised for how many moves you make. So you want to do it as the least moves possible.
Cool. What's the financial implications of making a game?
Okay, so Blobb is being made in Game Maker Studio, currently for Windows Phone and Android. And I previously purchased the professional license for Game Maker and the exports that allow me to do that, as well as purchased the developer licenses. The Game Maker as a game engine is relatively cheap compared to other popular game engines. And it's really quick and easy to use, especially for mobile devices that you want to port to different platforms. So that it doesn't come any more than, say, £60. If you get lucky, you can get into a sale as well.
Okay.
But where the most cost does come from is the exports. So, like, for instance, the Android export, which allows you to port to Android platforms, is about £120.
Okay.
And then the developer licenses are yearly fees. Google is about £20 a year, Windows is about £12 a year, but there are plans currently to try and get it for iPhones and iOS devices. However, that means I need to get a Mac and get the app license for that and the developer license for that, which is the most expensive one.
Oh, how much would that be?
I've worked out I'll need about £1,000, so I'm currently preparing to launch a Indiegogo campaign to raise the £1,000 required to port it over to iOS devices, so fingers crossed that comes out a success.
Okay. Is Indiegogo a bit like Kickstarter?
Yeah, it does all sorts of things, not just games, but it's got subtle differences, but yes, essentially it's the same thing.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, crowdfunding.
And to end off, who would you recommend the game to? What's like the demographic?
Oh, as you say, everyone that travels by and commutes to work by buses and trains that have time to kill, maybe lying in bed have time to kill. Basically, anyone that likes playing video games on their phones, so fans of games such as Angry Birds, Where's My Water, Cut the Rope, all these sorts of games, Blobb will fit in nicely into your library of games, and it'll be a nice fit.
Cool. Thanks for chatting with me about Blobb. It's really good to see the finished product.
Yes, coming soon, in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
A couple of weeks.
Hopefully, yeah.
Cool. How certain are you on that one? On a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd take 8.
8?
8 or 9.
Cool, because I know how funny games can be at their release dates.
Yeah. I've spent almost all of Christmas testing and getting final artwork done in place and getting the final levels in there. And now we're just making sure it all works smoothly on multiple devices, and once that's all okay, go forwards.
Awesome.